I would argue the two biggest staff decisions that are going to be made at this point are, what are you going to do with Frank Wilson? Will he have a spot? And is Blake Baker sticking around? Now, let's kind of run through what we know at this point. Lane Kiffin wants Blake Baker to stay on as his defensive coordinator. Blake Baker, I believe, is committed to staying at LSU as Lane Kiffin's defensive coordinator, as long as he doesn't get a better offer. And that could happen. Here's what we know. Tulane interviewed Blake Baker on Monday for their vacant head coaching job. John Summerall left Tulane to go to Florida. We know that much. So Baker interviewed at Tulane. Baker, of course, played linebacker at Tulane in the early 2000s. That is his alma mater. We've mentioned this before. Last year, if Summerall had gotten the UNC job, Baker was going to be at or near the top of the list a year ago for the Tulane job. North Carolina hired Belichick. Summerall stayed another year. Baker stayed in Baton Rouge, of course. So Tulane interviewed Blake Baker Monday. On Wednesday, Garland Gillen reported that Memphis interviewed Blake Baker for their vacant head coaching job. I can tell you that in conversations I had today, I've been told that Memphis has offered Blake Baker their job, which clearly, as of this point, we haven't heard anything whether or not he's accepted. What I was also told is the salary that they were discussing is less than what he makes at LSU. Blake Baker makes $2.5 at LSU. He was being offered less than that at Memphis. Now, could Memphis have increased that as they negotiate? That I don't know. The initial offer, less than what Blake Baker makes at LSU. Hard for me to imagine Baker leaving LSU for Memphis to take a pay cut. As badly as you want to be a head coach, that ain't it. There are clearly paths to becoming a head coach at a power school through being a defensive coordinator at LSU that don't include taking a pay cut to go be the coach at Memphis. The more complicated, in my opinion, the more complicated factor comes in with Tulane job. And as we have said here for a few days now, there's kind of been these divided factions. Listen, I didn't go to Tulane. I don't cover Tulane. But I know plenty of people in all parts of this to know what's kind of going on. And the athletic director at Tulane has favored hiring someone with head coaching experience. Willie Fritz had head coaching experience. John Summerall had head coaching experience at Troy. So the AD there was, as I understand, was leaning toward Billy Napier. Napier, who had a really successful time in Lafayette before getting the Florida job, didn't pan out there, but obviously a guy that's been in Louisiana and had a lot of success as a head coach in the state. A lot of boosters and supporters of that program favor Blake Baker, the guy who played there, young, energetic, defensive coordinator, awesome dude. Players love him. Returning to the alma mater, really good situation, really good chance to make the college football playoff this year, stable program, all those things. Well, just a bit ago, and this is not official yet from James Madison, but multiple outlets, including Chris Lowe over at On3, are reporting that Billy Napier is accepting the James Madison job. So if this was down to, as we believe it was, if the Tulane job came down to Blake Baker and Billy Napier, Napier going to James Madison clears the path. It would seem for Blake Baker to be the top target now at Tulane. So the question becomes, if you're Blake Baker, is your path to being a Power 4 head coach better from being LSU's defensive coordinator or Tulane's head coach? And that's not a question that I can answer. But I can provide a sensible path both ways that make a lot of sense. Now, you can just look at the last two guys at Tulane. Willie Fritz got the job at Houston. Houston's in the Big 12. John Summerall comes in from Troy to Tulane. He's there for 2 years. Now he's making $7.5 million as the Florida head coach. That's a pretty good path. So you're Blake Baker. You're sitting there thinking, I could go coach my alma mater. Really good situation, good roster, good support, lots of success, maybe a playoff team this year. hang for a couple years, then boom, then I'm a Power 4 head coach making $7-8 million a year, whatever the market may bear. Flip side of it is, I believe from conversations I've had, Lane Kiffin wants to keep Blake Baker as his defensive coordinator, and LSU is willing to pay him similar to what offer it stands to reason he would get at Tulane. John Sumrall was making $3 million this year. Blake Baker's at $2.5 at LSU. So if Tulane's offering Blake Baker 3, maybe a little north of 3, LSU will match that, I'm told. So for Blake Baker, the money is going to be what and what here to be the LSU defensive coordinator or the Tulane head football coach. The question is, what do you want more? Do you want the stability of staying where you are in Baton Rouge, power program, coaching in meaningful games, under a new regime with an offensive-minded head coach that is a brilliant play caller and is going to score? We've detailed this. Everywhere Lane Kiffin has gone, offense has followed. So it stands to reason that this year, Blake Baker, next season, is not going to have everything fall on the shoulders of his defense like it did this season with an offense that was maybe the worst in the history of the school. You can keep your family in Baton Rouge. Of course, the Bakers have young children. His wife played soccer at LSU. There's a lot of reasons to stay here. Or does he want to go be the head coach at his alma mater? Which, wherever you went to school, whatever you're passionate about, think about what that would mean, how cool that would be. The opportunity to go coach at your school. And Blake Baker could very well, any moment here, be offered the opportunity to go be the head coach at his alma mater, his first head coaching job. Both can get you a path to where you want to be, which is a Power 4 head coaching job where you can go compete for and win national championships. John Sumrall is just proved this. He was at Tulane for 2 years. He's at Florida. $7.5 million a year. He'll have all the resources to win at the highest level. You can also do that from being a Power 4 coordinator. We've told you a bunch of examples. Dan Lanning, DC at Georgia, gets the Oregon gig. Kirby Smart, DC at Bama, gets the Georgia gig. Marcus Freeman, DC at Notre Dame head coach. Ryan Day, Ohio State offensive coordinator, Ohio State head coach. Sharon Moore, Michigan offensive coordinator, Michigan head coach. Go down the list. There's tons of examples, especially in this era. Dave Aranda, LSU defensive coordinator, Baylor head coach. There's tons of examples of guys that were coordinators at power programs that have gotten not just head coaching jobs, but major power conference head coaching opportunities. And Blake Baker will have that opportunity as well. There will be a Power 4 program that comes calling and will hire Blake Baker. But does he want to wait another year, 2 years, whatever it may be, being a defensive coordinator for that opportunity? Or is the opportunity to go coach at his alma mater the right opportunity at the right time? With Billy Napier no longer in play, the path would stand to reason is clear for Blake Baker to go be the Tulane head coach, assuming they offer him the job and he wants to take it. But Blake Baker's going to have to make this decision. What's his path to being a power head coach? Does he want to do it coaching his alma mater in the G6 in a really stable situation? Or does he want to stay at LSU and have a chance to win a national championship and springboard into a big-time Power 4 offer, just bypassing the G6? I can't answer that for Blake Baker. Blake Baker's going to have to answer that for himself. My guess is he's going to have to make that decision probably in the next 48 hours or so. Hey, thanks so much for watching. Please leave your comments. I love to interact. And be sure to hit the red subscribe button below.